So what did I okay, so now I think the problem is here. Right, and it's you are not alone, right? If you don't really get it, so you are in good company. You are in good company rather. So the problem is always around, right? So the question that interval cannot answer, let me use the question that interval cannot answer is the question of true zero. So when you want to know if a variable actually is ratio and not interval, then that variable would have true zero. So what you ask yourself is, does this variable has a true zero? If it does has a true zero, then it is ratio. If it does not have a true zero, then it is interval. So now, when you say you measure something like IQ, if you measure IQ can be 60, it can be 80. But does zero IQ make any sense? Can you say someone has zero IQ? It doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah, that's interval. But okay, let me take another example. Time. If you say, what time is the day? What time are we at this point? Okay, this is 9:20. Can we say, is there zero time? Does zero time make any sense? Time can be a variable. Maybe time you fill the survey or time you arrived. That's a variable. But can you say I arrive at zero time? Doesn't really make sense because even at zero
Hello, ma,
zero,
ẹ káàárọ̀ ma.
oh, you are
Hello, ẹ
me.
káàárọ̀ ma. Ṣé ẹ gbọ́ mi mà?
Oh,
Ah,
Shakira, please kindly mute. Okay. So when there is a true zero, then we say, okay, that's ratio. But when it's not a true zero, or when the variable does not have a true zero, then it stops at interval. But like I said, you don't really need, if it's not clear, no problem. When we get to SPSS, when we start to analyze in SPSS, because most times what we do is we always put the caveat at these two at scale. We call them scale. We say they are both scale. Both of them. We say they are scale. So we don't really disentangle them at that point. So we are just trying to disentangle them for class purpose. But if you are not really getting it, no problem. But the main question that interval cannot answer is true zero. And ratio can answer that question. Ratio would answer that question. Interval cannot answer that question. So nominal, ordinal, can answer the question of order. Nominal cannot answer that question. But when you get to interval, ordinal, whilst they can be ordered, you cannot say, okay, difference in the ordering make any sense. So we take first, second, third. Does the difference between first and second make any sense? No. So in interval, the difference between first and second makes sense. But is there anything like zero's position? No. Then that means that position cannot get to ratio. So it's just like, does it satisfy this property? Does it satisfy this property? Does it satisfy this property? If it cannot satisfy those properties, then it will not get to that point. So let's pick gender. Gender, anything can even be nominal. Anything, any variable can be nominal. But you now ask yourself, can it be ordered? No. It doesn't have any inherent ordering in them. Except you want to say, okay, male comes first, female comes second. But feminists will disagree with you. They'll say, oh, female should come first. So that's nominal. But if you take pain level, for example, pain level, we know that moderate pain and severe pain, we know that without even telling anybody, one comes first before the other one. So that means that pain level can actually stay at ordinal, right? Because without anybody telling us, say, I don't have any pain and I have severe pain, there is an inherent ordering in that. There is an inherent ordering in that. But if you take blood type, will you say A plus comes before O negative? No. Will you say B plus comes before A plus? No, you can't say that. There is no inherent ordering in them. If you take satisfaction level now, you can say, okay, very satisfied will come after satisfied because there is an inherent, then there's an inherent ordering in those in the response that people give to that variable. If I say, oh, how are you satisfied with this class? And someone says, oh, I am not satisfied. And another person says, I am very satisfied. Like without any further information, in our mind, we can say, okay, not satisfied will come here. And very satisfied will come here. You cannot say that very satisfied will not, okay, you can even say, okay, you can flip it and say, okay, very satisfied comes first. Then not satisfied comes next. But you cannot say, okay, now you want to, whatever way you want to flip it, and say, okay, oh, and very satisfied will moderate is going to be first, then very satisfied, not satisfied will be next. No, you cannot say that. Or neutral will come first, then not satisfied will come after that. You cannot say that because inherently, naturally, without much ado, without thinking about it, we know that moderate should come after not satisfied, and moderate should come before very satisfied. Or neutral should come before very satisfied, and neutral should come after not satisfied. So, inherently, without any further information, like we can put them in order. But when we put them in order, does the difference between very satisfied and neutral doesn't make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. I guess categorical. So that means that variable cannot get to interval. So now, if you pick temperature, I can say, okay, the difference between this temperature and today's temperature is 12 degrees Celsius. Yes, that makes sense. So temperature can be ordered because definitely when temperature is at 37 degrees Celsius in Lagos, we know how Lagos is always very hot. When temperature is at 15 degrees in Nigeria, we know, oh, this can be very cold, right? But yeah, we can even say, okay, the difference between two temperature makes sense, yes. But is there 0 degree? Does 0 degree make sense? Yes, it makes sense. 0 degree is a temperature also. So that means that temperature can get to ratio. Now let's pick weight. Is weight ordinal? Yes, it's ordinal. If you pick two people and they have different weights, you can say, okay, this one comes before this. Like I said, everybody is nominal. So it's just for you to now start asking questions. Does it get to ordinal? Does it get to interval? Does it get to ratio? Then weight is ordinal. Is it ordinal? Can it be ordered? Does it, when you say, okay, I have 50 kg, another person has 60 kg, without saying any other information, can I inherently say that this one comes before this one? Yes. Now, does it get to interval? Then you ask yourself the difference between two. Does it make sense? Two weights or two weight measures. Does it make sense? Okay, 50 minus 35 kg. Okay, there's a difference of 15 kg between them. That makes sense. That's interval. Then for you to get to ratio, then ask yourself, does it ask a true zero? Can anybody have can anybody have a 0 kg? No. Even a newborn baby does not have 0 kg. So that's it. So that's how we piece out the difference between them. That's how we piece out the difference between them. You just ask questions. So at this first one is everybody is nominal, so you don't need to even disturb yourself. The major distinction starts from ordinal, interval, and ratio. So at this first part, we ask, okay, can it be ordered? If yes, go next. So if it can be ordered, no. So everybody is ordinal. Everybody is nominal. So here you now ask, can it be ordered? So if it is no, stay in nominal. If yes, go to ordinal. All right. So when we get to ordinal, we ask ourselves, does difference between two response makes sense? If no, you stay in ordinal. But if yes, you go to interval. So when you get to interval, then you ask yourself, does zero response make sense? If no, you stay in interval. If yes, you go to ratio. That's just it. So it's just three questions. So whatever variable it is, everybody satisfied nominal. Nominal is Google, is everybody, everywhere belle face, everybody satisfied the condition for nominal. Then the next thing is, can it be ordered? So if you have two responses, they have inherent ordering in them. Inherent ordering. Not that you now order it yourself. You can say male comes before female, but naturally, inherently, can they be ordered? If no, then they stay abnormal. So that's where colors come in. So you say, okay, colors. You say blue comes first before say yellow. Maybe we'll go back to when God created heaven and earth to ask that which one was created first. So they don't have inherent ordering. So we have gender, we collect responses of gender, male and female. You can't say, okay, male comes first. If you collect blood type, you can't say, oh, O plus comes before, A plus comes before zero, O negative. No. You can't say B plus comes before A plus. No. Unless you now say, okay, I want to use alphabet. No problem. You are the one that is imposing that ordering. So now when we now get to ordinal, we have now said, okay, it satisfied the ordering criteria. And the next thing is when you pick two responses, Does difference between those two responses make any sense? So if you take position, when we say, okay, people are running an running an athletic race, and you now ask them that, okay, who took first? Who took second? Who took third? Say, okay, this person took first, this person took second, this person took third. And you now ask yourself that, all right, if they took first, second, third, inherently, can that be ordered? Yes, it can be ordered inherently, right? But we now ask ourselves, does the difference between the two make sense? No, you can't say first and second. There's a difference between first and second. What is the difference between first and second? Zero. That does not make sense. So that means that it does not make it to interval. So that's just how it is. So we pick any variable. So if we pick stock price of Dangote PLC, so share price of Dangote PLC. So if two people hold the same stock, is it nominal? Yes, everybody is nominal. Then is it ordinal? Yes, it's ordinal. If I hold if I owed 10 shares and another person owes 20 shares, so my own share price is more than that person's share price. So okay, it is ordinal. That's inherent ordinary. All right. Is this interval? Does difference between the two stock price make any sense? Oh yes. Yes. Now, is it ratio? Can I have zero stock price? Yes. If I don't own a Dangote refinery PLC stock or share, don't have anything with them. So zero makes sense. Then that variable satisfies all the conditions. So you can say, okay, that variable is a ratio. So whatever makes a variable a ratio, it satisfies all of that condition. But whatever makes a variable a nominal, it can satisfy ordinal. If it's an ordinal, it can satisfy interval. If it's an interval, it can satisfy ratio. That's just how it is. I hope with all of this I've told you, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that nominal interval are good for everything. All right, let me pick another question. All right, participant observation in the as primary source of data. All right, thank you very much for that. So in terms of source of data, so this is just how data is collected. So it's not really anything big. So it's just how data is collected. So we can collect data through questionnaire interview, focus group discussion. So in focus group discussion, so we bring subject matter experts together. So I think most people will be very conversant with questionnaire interview. So questionnaire interview, you are mailed a questionnaire, maybe they sent it to you via Google form, via normal questionnaires. For everybody that's got to school, we have those experiences. Please help me fill my questionnaire. Please help me fill my questionnaire. So yeah, that's questionnaire interview. So you collect all of this information and you start analyzing. Focus group discussions means that you bring people together to look at a group. Maybe I want to focus on a group of traders. So in that I'll just have a discussion with them. They will start discussing this and this and that. So they will discuss about all of the issues. It's usually qualitative. So we call those conversations. In in-depth interview, we call it key information interview, key informant interview, in-depth. So it's more in-depth than focus group. In focus group, those people might not have like very strong knowledge, but then maybe they're in the field, just want to collect data from their experience and all of those. But in in-depth interview, those people are knowledgeable. So maybe you want to lead a discussion on female genital mutilation. Maybe you are a female genital mutilation expert or you are a female genital mutilation researcher, and you want people to be able to give you opinion or experience. So you have to look out for people that are actually researching that that phenomenon. That's in-depth. But if you look at people that have experienced female genital mutilation, that's focus group. So you just bring them together and you discuss about their experience, you get their data information and the information from them. Or in-depth interview, like expatriates, people that have like strong expertise in that field. But in participant observation is different from all of focus group in-depth, because in all of questionnaire, focus group, and in-depth interview, the data is coming from the people and you are looking them from outside. So people are, discussing and you are looking them. People are filling the questionnaire and you are looking them. In-depth interview, people are, having those interviews and you are looking them, like you are looking them from top. But in participant observation, the researcher, you that you want to analyze data, you will be part of everything that is going on. It's always used when people want to know, like when you want to understand culture. So when we know that when Americans, Europeans want to understand our culture, they come, they live with us. So that's why I say participant observation. Like you are going to live in that place, like you are going to have a lived experience. You are going to have a lived experience. So as an analyst, you'll be part of that experience. So you want to learn about I think there's a culture where their women don't put on clothes. They leave their cleavages open. As if you want to understand what it means to them and all of those as a researcher, you have to go there and you leave your cleavages open because you want to understand them. You have to like be there to participate. If perhaps you want to understand how Shango worshippers, why they do what they do, and you want to use participant observation, you'll be there. You are going to worship Shango together because you have to be there to understand. And that is always a very good source of like insight. And that's so if you see all of these documentaries that we always watch are usually very, very emotional and all of those, that's the primary way they do those. So they will be there in the community, they will live with them. So for people that are in all this Niger Delta region, so if perhaps you want to understand their experience with all of these when they were still, I think they have stopped it now, when they were still having those Monday shutdown, and you want to really understand how it means to them, what it does to your mental psyche, mental positioning, then you have to live with them. You experience all of those things they're experiencing together. Because with all of those experiences, that's when you can journal and write like extensively. So let's assume that you also want to go to all these IDPs in the north and you want to understand their experience. You have to live with them, like you would live with them. So that's what participant observation is all about. You are going to live with them. You're going to live with them. So that's what the perception, like you are going to live with them, like you will be part of that experience. You'll be part of it, like every day, every minute, you'll be part of them. You journal and do all of this. So that's what is largely used by journalists. Just I think Nigerian journalists they now rely on TikTok and Twitter for their for their information. So the next very I think every other thing is cool. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think every other thing is they just brush up. But this one is one of the major things that we also need to understand. Please, kindly, if you are going to put this anywhere, this slide is very important. Very, very, very important. Very, very, very. It talks about data formats. As we have seen so far, we notice that we've said data can take on different data types. We can have different data types. Then we now start coming to our mind is, okay, if data can come in different data types, can it also come in different form? Yes. When you take pictures, you're actually collecting data. Cancerous cells, in analyzing them, you analyze pictures. Yes, we analyze pictures. That's data. AI, machine learning, they can actually predict from data. Yes. So if you record someone's voice, that's actually data. That's another format of data. So you notice that all of this means that data can come in different forms. So anywhere you are getting any input of information, anywhere you are getting any input of information, that is data. So it's not only when we are looking at stock prices, not only when you are looking at yield in a Greek setting, or you are looking at number of patients that has high blood pressure, or number of outpatients in an hospital that has high blood pressure, or number of patients that saw a doctor today that have high HbA1c. A1c means blood glucose in the past 3 months, or number of outpatients that are adhering to treatment regimen, or number of prevalence of female genital mutilation in Nigeria. All of those are cool, but then those are not the only format of data. Those are not the only format of data. Data comes in different formats. We have tabular textual data, which we are going to be talking about this a lot, like a whole lot. This, where's my, look at this. Sorry, where's my pen? They're telling us to give me pen again. Sorry, I'm the one that's. So we're going to talk about this a lot. Portable data formats, TXT, textual format, CSV, comma, separated value, DAT, and TSV. We're going to talk about them a whole lot because those are the real, the common and conventional data formats that we see out there. And I'm going to do like some show of them when we start to work with them. So all of this can be generated from softwares like Microsoft Excel. And they are the common formats. So any data that comes in tabular form, where you have columns or the top, and you have data points of each person or each items on the rows, that's tabular textual data. So they can actually be generated on Excel. That's the common one that we know. But we also have data from geospatial sources. Geospatial sources means data that deals with spatial levels like atmospheric, universe, like the horoscope, actually horoscope, the sphere of the world itself. So that's where you'll be talking about data from the GIS coordinates, what's it called? Satellite imagery and likes. You can have data from audio formats. You have .mpg, .wav. That's where when you hear the word sampling, you can also sample audio. You can sample audio. We have data from images. When you snap, they are actually data points, they are pixels. And each of them actually holds data. We have data from the web, .rtf, .xml, .html. So these are the common forms, and these are also commonplace. They are also commonplace, but these are not commonplace. The database formats, you really come across them when you do things like database access and all of those. That's when you use these ones. So generally, these are just the different data formats, how they come up. So, but as we move on, we're going to see different data formats. When we get to Power BI, when we get to R, we're going to see how different data formats come up and what they do. So the next thing we want to look at is data pipeline. So this is just like data is coming from the source. There will be the pipeline for how it gets to how we want to use it. So this pipeline can be maybe you download and use, but you can actually build pipeline with softwares like Python, where there is a process of once data is collected. So actually data can come from different sources. We've talked about that. So in um, the current technological positioning, so data comes in from various sources. So data can come from mobile data, can come from the cloud. So what we then do is we build a pipeline through which data comes from that source to where you want to use it. So when we get to Power BI, we're going to see how data sourcing and all of this works. And actually in SQL, we also look at that. So sources like database where the data is stored, then how you as an analyst will then get the data from that source. You can actually download or build a pipeline through which the data comes in, you clean it, and you make use of it. But when we get to Power BI, we start talking about that. And then for people that will get to advanced classes where they will use SQL, at that point, we'll start discussing about database fully. So by the time we get to SQL and all of those database related softwares and programming languages, then we start to discuss how to get data from database and analyze them. So, but then we'll talk about it briefly in Power BI. I think we've discussed this. So importance of data in today's world, customer-centric effort, valuable market information of classes. So these are just general things that we get from data. So the last part of today's discussion is data storytelling. So it's not really sufficient to just analyze data. The major thing is how are you going to bring value from that data? And this is not just a one-touch thing or one-time thing. It's something we're going to continue to practice all through this program, because everybody can analyze, anybody can put data into any software and throw out information. Anybody can do that, but not everybody can actually move from. You can there's this picture that I love. Let me just show it first. So not everybody can move from this to this. No, not everybody. Many people can actually do this, analyze, but not everybody can actually make this beautiful man. Sorry for feminists. I'm sorry using picture of a man. But not everybody can move from here to here easily. And that's where the utility is for people that are coming in. And AI actually has not been able to really touch that like beautifully. Yes, AI can do that, but bringing life to the information, like bringing life information, you can see that most of AI's gleaning of data are usually very robotic. But bringing life to data, like bringing life to information, that's what I see to be a very, 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 very distinguishing and discriminating factor between all the set of everybody that can analyze and the few that can actually tell data stories. And people that tell data stories are actually very important. Yes, especially to consultancy firms that need to sell their own products. So that's why data storytelling is very important. So the first thing that I always say is data stories are actually very hard. You know, when you say you're analyzing data and you find out that, all right, so uh, you have to say 10 customers, what you just saw is 10 customers choose products brand A, 5 chose brand B, then 6 chose brand C. Be like, this is just intuitive now. It's intuitive. Everybody can say, A is the one that is, but everybody can see the same information and say the story differently. You can just say, oh, board of directors, please, let's buy more of product A because our customers buy more of brand A. But some can come. You know, I believe that while brand A gives us or shows that there are more customers patronizing these products, however, a deep dive into the profile of people that are choosing brand B, although they are very few, you can see that there's a difference between, oh, let's go with brand A. And while after a deep dive, looking at like all of those, like, makes people want to like start, leaning and trying to listen to you, unlike just, dropping numbers. So that's why data storytelling, or that's where data storytelling finds its utility. So, like we have on this slide, actually, data storytelling, telling data stories can be very hard because you're just like, this is intuitive enough now. Is this not intuitive enough for anybody to see? But then, so for people to listen to you, you see many people dropping things on LinkedIn, and that's one of the things I need to learn going forward. Like I said in last session, that we're actually going to be having stories. We're going to be, doing after every module, we're going to be having videos. Every class, we're going to be having feedbacks and we all post and everything. And that's just to build that storytelling part of you. Whatever it is, even if you're in academia, if you cannot tell good stories, you find out that someone will just come and do a work that is not as good as yours, and the person will just have a lot of citations. And you that you have done like a very more rigorous work, you will not have more citations. That's why you see that we say we currently live in the world where people, say stories. Right? This person that is having 1 million followers on TikTok, I think I'm better than this person now. But the person would, take the story. All of us we love to we love to listen to apropos doctor. I don't know if everybody, it's a common thing. But if you watch his videos, you see the way he communicates. There are some other people that are in the health niche, but then you see his own video, you want to listen. Why? Because he tells a story, crafts a story in a way that resonates with you, wants to make you glued to your screen. That's what a good storytelling does. And actually, it can be learned. It's a process that can be learned. It's not inborn. It can be cultivated. So, in data storytelling, the first thing is you have to create an analysis plan. You can see that guy casting his nets. And when you start your data analysis, like actually there's a lot of noise. And the ability to remove those noise is where the major utility or the value is. You can see this guy. So when we casted the net, we can see a shark, tilapia, ejaro, every we are casting many things, we are getting everything. But the main thing is when you are able to reduce the noise, remove the noise, what is unnecessary, what people don't need. And that's you watch carefully and closely to any video that trends. You find out that I mean valuable videos, not videos of people talking or doing things. Though I'm not saying that those are bad or good, I'm not against them, but I'm talking about like in the context of this class, like I'm invaluable, so we compare two valuable posts, and you see one going viral and another one that also is of the same value, not going viral. You find out that one is able to succinctly, precisely pass information by removing clutters, removing noises. But the other one might just want to bombard you with many things, but because the human attention span, is for a short period, so you have to just scroll away. It's the same thing. If you are presenting to people and you have not reduced the noise, you are trying to say, 10 customers were from this chart, you can see 10 customers personalize A, 6 customers personalize B, 5 customers personalize C, and this and this, and this and this, and in Southwest this, and in South this, and in this one this is the price of this one, revenue is this one. People will just be looking at you. But if you can declutter, remove all the noise, and focus, say, okay, this is it. Give them one major point and say why, 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 why. You find out that everything becomes very, very easy. Then, after reducing the noise, then we build a pyramid. You can see this guy order the narrative, then prepare the story. So that's just the approach we're going to be using, and that's just basically it. So please be prepared all through this program. That's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be using this pyramid framework. For now, I will not be going through it, but it's just we move from, let me just give us a top line. So we move from, so I call it pyramid and inverted pyramid. So we move from question down to objectives, down to data, then from data back up to synthesis, then to overarching information. We're going to talk about that when we get to. For each of our analysis, we are going to be following this action. We're going to be following that. All of our analysis. So we start with the overarching question. So what do I want to bring out? So that helps us to focus. So only there's this viral one that Yakubu manage, but this one is Yakubu focus. So we're going to be going on our second break now. So yeah, so let's just take some minutes, and when we are back, I will go through this pyramid. Let's take a few minutes to go through this pyramid. If you have any question, please kindly drop them. And when we are even back, I will just open the ground for everybody to ask questions. If you have any question and you want to about your question, voice it. Or if you are unable to talk and drop questions, chats. Yeah, so we'll meet in the next 15 minutes.